गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Om Narayana. Now, today is Krishnashtami. I know all of you must be busy, but anyway, I shall record it and leave it. When you are free, you can listen to it. So, continuing the reply to the Purvapakshi, that Atma, by its very nature, in its essential nature, doesn't have the I notion as a part of it. Atma is free from I notion. It is neither an object of I notion, or in other words, it cannot be referred by I. Okay, next point. We have discussed about deep sleep. Coming to the next point, in Purvapakshi, he used a word, Aham Brahmasmi statement. The Upanishad too is telling Aham Brahmasmi. Upanishad is also referring to Atma through the word Aham. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So when Upanishad is telling that I am Brahman, then how can you say that I notion is not a part of Atma? Upanishad says that I notion itself is Brahman. This is what Purvapakshi taught. Siddhanti says no. I notion is limited, is exclusive, because I notion excludes you notion. One thing. Second thing is I notion of me is depending upon my body. So you have your I notion not in my body but in your body. So the I notion remains exclusive, not all pervasive, not all inclusive. Therefore, I notion cannot be Brahman. In fact, Brahman is all pervasive. I notion is limited to body, mind and sense organs. It's a total contradiction. Calling Aham Brahmasmi, I am a Brahman, taking I as an individual Brahman, taking individuality as a Brahman is total contradiction. It doesn't fit in. Then why does the Upanishad say? Purvapakshi says, since Upanishad says, then we have to accept that, this is a very peculiar thing, strange thing. Some people's interpretation, this is getting heated up. Just wait few minutes, because that table lamp is getting heated up. So the I notion, or what is thought of, what can be understood through I notion, what is comprehended through I notion can only be limited thing, because it can't include the you notion. It can't include another's I notion. My I notion is limited, confined to my body and sense organs, my body, mind and sense organs. It can't include others' I notion also. Therefore, I notion is obviously can't be infinite. Brahma is infinite. The very statement is a contradiction. Aham Brahmasmi, I am infinite. The very word I refers to something limited, and calling it infinite itself is a totally wrong statement. But Purvapakshi is a strange person. He takes the statement of a book verbatim. This is a very big defect of almost all the people, most of the philosophers, those who believe in the revelation of God, certain other religious books, or the Indians also, like Vedas, Puranas, when they take Shastra Vakyam as a pramana, they take literally. It is said in the book, therefore we accept it. It's a very strange thing, see. If the Shruti Vakya goes against your Anubhava, it is talking obviously a contradictory thing. It's how can we accept that? But it is a very strange thing, except Advaitins, almost all people, on the strength of a statement, Vedic statement, or they call it as a God's revealed statement. Just they take literally the revealed statement and start accepting it, even if it is illogical or against Anubhava. What is, for example, say, if a moksha is something that is to be attained at some time later, naturally it is not eternal. What is acquired in time cannot be eternal. The very idea of eternity means that it has been always there. What is already has been there, that is eternal. What was not there so far, now I acquire it. After acquiring it will become eternal. This concept of eternal heaven or eternal Vaikuntha, you don't have it now. You acquire it, you gain it, and later it becomes eternal. It is totally illogical. It is contradiction, isn't it? It is contradiction, it is illogical, and it cannot be accepted. Yet they say, since the Shruti says that, or since the revealed book says that after death, once you go to heaven, you remain there eternally. Why don't they see itself is falsifying the eternity? Eternity is not a newly acquired thing and then remain eternal. Itself is a contradiction. So here Shankaracharya comes in a tradition of acharyas who cannot accept this illogicality. This is a speciality of Shankaracharya. Why Shankaracharya is respected all over the world by thinkers? Because Shruti statement, a revealed statement, should not contradict with logic. It can't be illogical. It has to say something which is beyond the realm of logic, but it can't be illogical. At one place, not one, more than one place, this idea Shankaracharya says, for example, for instance, take the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, towards the end, Sarvadharman Parityajya, 66th shloka, I think. On that shloka, discussing about that, I think on that or just one shloka before or later, around that shloka, Shankaracharya says, even if Shruti says, 100 Shruti statements say, not an isolated slip of a tongue, consciously 100 Shruti statements say that fire is cold, we can't accept it. That means we can't take Shruti statement literally if it goes against perception, against inference, against logic. If Shruti goes against logic, against inference, you can't accept that. See, what a beautiful thing. This is the Shankaracharya's or Advaita tradition. Why Shankara alone is not a single individual. His Advaita tradition. So that Shruti's meaning, if the literal meaning of the Shruti goes against perception, goes against logic, then we can't accept it. We have to say there must be some suggested meaning, some implied meaning which doesn't contradict with logic and perception. That way we have to take it. What doesn't contradict with other pramanas, that meaning alone we can take it. This is the greatness of Advaita tradition. And all other people, they take, see, even the heaven also, heaven or Vaikuntha or Kailasa or Brahmaloka, anything is same. So Brahmaloka is different, of course heaven is different, but they say you attain it newly. Now you are not in Vaikuntha, now you are not in Brahmaloka, you are away from it, but you will attain it. Once you attain, it will remain eternal. Now we are not in heaven according to the Abrahamic religions. Now we are not in heaven, but once we reach heaven, we remain eternal. How can you accept that? Once this kind of illogical things, if mind starts accepting, the mind gets used to it. It begins to accept many other illogical things. Because once you in one place you accept an illogical thing, then your mind gets used to it and starts accepting many illogical, immoral, inhuman things also it accepts in the name of revelation. This is the problem. That's why Advaita is saved from this kind of thinking. What is against perception, what is illogical, cannot be the meaning of revealed statement or apaurushaya pramana, authorless scripture, authorless shastra. Apaurushaya Shruti Pramana can't talk. And another thing, can't talk what is illogical. Another thing is, if it says something illogical, how does the mind understand even? See, Brahma is infinite and I is limited. How does the human mind understand the limited as Brahman? It can't be. Or in English generally they give this example, the round, what is that? The square peg in a round hole. The square peg in a round hole, you can't put it because it won't fit in. It's just totally contradiction. Therefore, in English generally they use such an expression. So similarly here, Aham Brahmasmi is a totally contradiction, but they want to take it literally. Then literally they take it, Aham Brahmasmi, then the whole sentence they twist it and they say, Aham Brahmasmi only means that I am in the control of Brahma. I am what you call subject to Brahma. I am a servant of Brahma, like that, because the whole the sentence is totally made different. But here, Advaitins say, the word Aham definitely refers to limited individuality only. But Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Krasnasya Jagataha, Ityadayasta Shrutismati Vadaha. Purvapakshi says, two statements of Purvapakshi quoted. One is Aham Brahmasmi statement. Another is Bhagavan Krishna himself. Anyway, today is Krishnashtami. So it's referring to Bhagavan Krishna, and his statement also is relevant to the context. Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, what did he say? Aham Krishnasya Jagata Prabhava Pralayastata. I am the cause of the world. Cause of the creation of the world means I am the basis from which the entire world is born, and also it dissolves in me. The world is born and gets dissolved in me. So these two statements, Aham Brahmasmi is one statement, that the world is born of me and dissolves into me. We shouldn't take these two regarding the second statement, that is of Bhagavan Krishna, that the entire world is born of me and dissolves into me. That it is born of me, first the birth of the world and later dissolution. These two, birth and the dissolution, should not be taken as the two events, successive events. And this birth and dissolution of the world are not two events occurring successively in time, because the time itself is part of the world. Bhagavan is beyond the time. Time is with the world. Either say part of the world or along with the world. Time and the world are one. Past, present and future. Therefore, the world along with its time, how can the world along with its time is born of Ishvara, born of Bhagavan Krishna, who is timeless? When he is timeless, from the timeless Bhagavan, how can the world be born? Or the world being born, how can it be an event? And then dissolution is another event. Because Bhagavan, who is timeless, spaceless, who is beyond time and space and all pervasive, it is like all pervasive space, nothing can be born. All pervasive space is eternally present. All pervasive and eternal. So anything that is there is already can only be part of space. Nothing can be born of the space, because anything that is born has to come out of it. Come out means out where? If space which is infinite, from the infinite, where do you go out? There is nothing out. Therefore, being born of Paramatma, cannot be taken in its literal sense. Okay. Jagat being born of Paramatma cannot be taken literally. And then dissolution also. Because the entire, so then what does that birth and dissolution mean? Birth and dissolution means one is the beginning of it, dissolution is the end of the world. So this end of the world and that end of the world, these two expressions include the entire world. That's all mean. That means there is something beyond the world which swallows the entire world. That's what it means. There is some factor which is beyond the world and includes the entire world within itself. This is what it means. The world is born of Paramatma means world itself is not an independent entity. It is not existing. It is part of a something which is beyond the world, which is vaster than the world. Okay. Which is vaster than the world. The time is born of a timeless existence, that is Paramatma. The timeless existence, the timeless consciousness, the time is born. Born means the time is included in the timelessness. The world is included in the consciousness. This is what it means. So the wave is included in water. This is what it implies. Wave itself doesn't exist apart from water. The wave is already included. So that it is already included is expressed through a way of Srishti and dissolution. Srishti and dissolution is only a way of telling. They are not occurrences, because occurrences don't fit in. All the events take place within the world, but world as a whole cannot be an event. The world as a whole is neither an object, nor its birth is an event. World as a whole is neither an object, nor the birth of a world is an event. But it is neither an object, nor it is born and gets dissolved. It means the whole appearance of the world is already included in consciousness. And the consciousness is called as a world by another name under mistake due to Adhyasa. But if you don't make Adhyasa, you seize Adhyasa. That means a misunderstanding, a mistake. That wrong thinking is set aside, is corrected. Then you see that what you had called as world before, you understand that it is already consciousness. There is nothing apart from consciousness. So to help us to understand this fact, that the Jagat is born of Paramatman is stated. So this is one point, leave it separately. Now coming to that main point of Aham Buddhi. So question is, Upanishad itself says Aham Brahmasmi. It is equating Aham, I thought, with Brahman that is infinite. So taking this statement literally, Purvapakshi argued that infinite Brahman has the individuality always associated with it. That means infinite Brahman has a sense of individuality. Because Aham Brahmasmi, sense of individuality is always with him. It is a contradiction, it can never exist. And nobody can ever think like that. Infinite space is sitting in one place. Can you imagine that? Come on, I'll tell you now. Infinite space, all pervasive, is sitting on my table, on my palm. Come on, imagine. The entire space, all pervasive space, sitting on my palm. I may say, but how are you to understand this thing? The understanding cannot arise because all pervasive space, infinite space, and sitting in one place. These are two contradictions, cannot be related. Infinity cannot be related to a location. So, but they say, yes, location is related to infinity. How? Location is included in infinity. Therefore, location doesn't exist apart from infinity. That is okay. But location doesn't exist as it is. Along with infinity, it gets included, it gets sublated. Location gets sublated in infinity. That is okay. But it can't retain its individuality. Location cannot retain its individuality yet get connected to infinity. This is impossible. Therefore, nobody can think of it. Even if Shruti says, you can't understand it. Therefore, Shruti sentence goes wrong. So, Purvapakshi says, taking this statement literally, yes, Aham Buddhi, that I notion, is there all the time sticking to Atma, infinite Atma. Second meaning, second he says, not only the Upanishad is saying Aham Brahmasmi, even Bhagavan Krishna, when he is referring to the world, he says, Aham Krishnasya Jagata Prabhava Pralayastata. I am the Krishnasya Jagataha Prabhava Pralayastata. How did he say? Aham Krishnasya Jagata Prabhava Pralayastata. It is the 7th chapter of Gita. 7th chapter and 6th shloka in Bhagavad Gita. 7th chapter, 6th shloka. Purvapakshi says, yes, see, Bhagavan Krishna also, who is infinite, who is cause of the world. A cause of the world is beyond the world. Means, in other words, it is vaster than the world. World itself is such a thing is unimaginable. And Brahman is vaster than even this unimaginable world. Okay. See, vaster, when we say vaster than the world, Jagat, that is the world, and Bhagavan Krishna. Bhagavan Krishna is there who is infinite, and Jagat is there, and Bhagavan is vaster than the world. By this statement, don't imagine that there is world and there is Bhagavan and this Bhagavan is bigger than the world. that means you are implying two things. Once you say two, one limits the other. See, this illogicality cannot be understood. Means cannot make sense. Understanding is disturbed by illogicality. That means two pieces remain there alone, don't get connected. Don't get connected because they remain two pieces separately. In your understanding doesn't take place. That means they cannot be related. Understanding cannot take place. Therefore, the world is such a vast, and Bhagavan is bigger than, vaster than the world. So when he is vaster than the world, still does world too exist individually? Does it have its own identity? If the world too exists, then Bhagavan's infinity suffers. Infinity suffers because if world is there and also infinity is there, there will be two elements and one limits the other. Then Bhagavan's infinity can no more be infinite because a part of Bhagavan is occupied by the world. So Bhagavan can't be infinite. So here, if you say world is included in Bhagavan, then there is only one infinity. You can accept it. If world to be included in the infinity, then world should cease to have its own individual existence. That means world doesn't exist individually apart from the infinite consciousness, infinite Bhagavan. Bhagavan's existence includes the existence of the world. Bhagavan's consciousness includes the awareness about the world. Therefore, world cannot exist apart from Brahman. Then in this sense it is okay. Okay, leave that shloka. And now the question is, in Aham Brahmasmi, Aham is used, and Aham Krishnasya Prabhavaha Pralayaha in Bhagavan Krishna statement, the word Aham is used. So Aham always refers to an individual. Now Purvapakshi says, how can you deny that? Bhagavan Krishna has got an individuality. Some people say Krishna has got a divine individuality, superhuman individuality, but still he is an individual. He can't be infinite. Or even if he is infinite, still he is individual. He is infinite, yet he is an individual. This is a strange situation they put themselves in. He is an individual, he is a divine personality they call. And Aham Brahmasmi also, that individuality sticks to, eternally sticks to, always sticks to infinite Brahman. Brahman is infinite. How do you understand this thing? To this Siddhanti replies, see, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Krishnasya Jagataha Ityadayastu Shruti Smriti Vadaha. This Shruti statement and Smriti statement, these two have to be understood in a proper way, which do not involve contradiction. You have to understand. Understanding takes place only when they are fit in. There cannot be contradiction. So he says, Ahankaropalakshitam Atmanam. First, in both the things, in Bhagavan Krishna statement or in the Aham Brahmasmi statement, one thing is common. The word Aham is used more in a secondary sense, not in a real sense. That means the word Aham is not really referring to Brahman. Therefore, that I notion doesn't stick to Atma. Atma itself is beyond I notion. Atma itself is beyond I notion. But I notion is used only by imposing on it. It doesn't, it is from our standpoint you impose it, but in himself it doesn't exist. That is imposed one only to communicate. Therefore he says, Ahankara upalakshitam atmanam. Atma which is implied by Aham. Because the word Aham, it is a big topic, but I just briefly tell you here. The word Aham is used to exclude many other things. When everything is excluded, last it also, the word aham gets dropped. Now, by retaining the word aham, the word aham refers to something by excluding remaining things, idam and other things. The word aham generally excludes all other things. Then word aham becomes a limited one. When it excludes everything else, it becomes a one limited exclusive one. That limited exclusive aham cannot convey the infinity. Therefore, word aham cannot be used to refer to Brahman. Yet we use them aham shabda, because that aham shabda, the word aham is used to exclude all others. When all others are excluded, then aham also gets excluded, gets negated. Then what was, then why aham is used? Aham was used before as an ajnani, as an ordinary student of Vedanta, as a jignasu, as a student of Vedanta. For him, this aham word is used so that his attention is turned inwards by leaving the external world out. Leaving the body and sense organs and mind outside, you are asked to turn your attention inward. To help you to turn your attention inward, aham is used. Not that it is literally aham. Therefore, once you turn inward, the idam goes away, the external world negated, then the aham which is relative to idam also goes away. The aham shabda which is related to idam also goes away, then the nameless, what is beyond reference, Brahman remains. Brahman which is infinite and beyond reference. Therefore, you use the aham vritti. We use, Shastra uses the I notion in order to help you to transcend even I notion, not to retain I notion as a part of Atma. See, not to retain the I notion as a part of Atma, but to negate even the I notion. It uses I notion to negate all other notions. When all other notions are negated, the I notion itself, being a relative to others, when others are not there, its relative status also falls off. Aham status also falls off. The referability through aham thought also falls off. Then what remains beyond all references? Self-existing, which cannot be referred by any word. No word can refer it. Therefore, ahankara upalakshita. The Sanskrit word upalakshita is difficult to translate. Ahankara upalakshita matmanam. Or you may say implied. Correct, implied only. Upalakshitam means implied, not denoted. So, the word aham doesn't denote Atman, but aham is used tentatively up to certain extent, then even that aham drops off, then remains the Brahman. That way. So, ahankaropalakshitam atmanam bhutapurvagatya or gaunavritya. The aham is used in retrospection. Retrospection means previously when aham adhyasa was there. So the aham word is used from the standpoint of previous state of ignorance. When I am ignorant, I am referring to aham. That old word, previous state before ignorance, is used even after the aham is negated. Even aham is dropped. Therefore, aham word is used by imposing the relative status of body, mind and sense organs. Okay. Therefore, idu gauna vritti, he says. Bhuta purvagatya or gauna vrityava. Paramrishanti tyanavadyam. Therefore, aham brahmasmi word, there is no defect in it. Don't take literally. Aham word is used only to negate all others. Later, it also gets negated. Therefore, to turn your attention from the external things, this aham is used. But it doesn't mean that that notion of aham inheres in Atma, sticks to Atma in its essential nature. That's not the implication here. Therefore, don't take in that Aham Brahmasmi statement like that. Even in Bhagavan Krishna's statement that I am the basis of the birth of the world and the dissolution of the world, means I am the substratum in which the world, from which the world is born and in which the world dissolves, into which the world dissolves. When Krishna refers to himself as Aham, people say Bhagavan Krishna is referring to himself through I, the word I, the idea of I, the notion of I, Bhagavan Krishna is using in order to refer to himself. Then how can you say he is not an individual? Therefore, sense of individuality continues even with Bhagavan Krishna. This is an obvious mistake which we have discussed before too. Sense of individuality, if Bhagavan Krishna has got, he becomes an exclusive individual like all of us, like any one of us. We are all individuals. Each individual excludes other. We don't include all other people. If Bhagavan Krishna also is another individual, which can be referred exclusively as Krishna and not others. They say, I am Krishna and I am not others. I am not other people. I am not you and me and all these human beings and animals and all. If Bhagavan Krishna has his own separate individuality by excluding all others, he becomes another individual like us. He can't be all-pervasive, infinite Bhagavan, who is the basis of the entire universe, who is a substratum, who is the essential truth of entire world. He can't be the truth of the world. Okay? If he is an excluding, if he is an exclusive one of the many things, if Bhagavan Krishna is one of the many things, therefore he has to be separately pointed out by excluding all others, then Krishna will be one of the many. Then that can't be Bhagavan. And he is referring, how is he referring? I am a basis of the entire universe. In talking that I am the basis of the birth and dissolution of the world, then I cannot be an individual I. Then I is only imposed one, only to show that it is not all limited individuality. To show that it is not limited individual, it is another I. What is another I? An I where there is no I is possible. It is such an I where no I can refer to. It is a tentatively you assume and then drop off even that I. Therefore, Bhagavan Krishna is using I, the word I, only in imposed way, not in its true sense. Therefore, Bhagavan Krishna from his standpoint is not an individual. From our standpoint, we use him as something different from all these limited beings, just to point out, just to turn your attention towards that. So he is using this I. But in himself, he doesn't have a notion of I, which is an exclusive I, excludes all other jivas. He doesn't exclude, he includes all other jivas, you and me and all are included in Krishna's consciousness, Krishna's existence. So Bhagavan Krishna's existence is all pervasive, all inclusive, it includes all of us. Therefore, Bhagavan Krishna is infinite. The very thought of infinity goes beyond referability. The referability becomes limited. So all references will drop off. All references will get negated. What remains is unreferable. Okay. It is self-evident. Any reference requires a given standpoint. Okay. Any reference requires a given standpoint and also relationship with a standpoint. But infinity cannot be seen from a given standpoint. If you see from a given standpoint, it can't be infinite. Isn't it? And also relation with that standpoint. Brahman is non-relational with any standpoint. All standpoints get dissolved. All references get dissolved. It is unreferable because it is infinite and all-pervasive. It is everything. What is everything? How do you refer? You can't refer from a given standpoint to given location, given area, or a given thing. Okay. You take one point and from there you refer to it. From there the relation. But if you take one point, you can't see the infinity, because the infinity gets beaten, infinity suffers, infinity goes away if you take a given standpoint. Okay. Therefore, all references get dropped off, including the reference of I. Therefore, Bhagavan Krishna is referring I only as a tentatively for the purpose of teaching the sadhakas, to turn your attention from all your individuality. Just it is an adhyaropita. It is an imposed idea. Imposed means it is only for the purpose of teaching. But in his real nature, there is no sense of I, there is no I notion to Bhagavan Krishna, because he is infinite. How beautiful it is. Therefore, idam amshohamityatra. So therefore, it is only a prakriya. Here Swamiji, Pujya Sachidanandendra Swamiji, quoting two statements, two shlokas. One is from Upadesha Sahasri of Bhagavan Shankaracharya. Second shloka is from Sureshwaracharya's Naishkarma Siddhi. These two shlokas show us how the word aham is used as a prakriya, as a mode of teaching. They don't literally mean that an I thought persists in Atma, continues in the Atma. They don't mean that. That I notion is not a part of Atma, it is only imposed one. Idam amshohamityatra tyajyo natmeti panditaihi aham brahmeti shishtomsho bhutapurvagater bhavet. See, this is an Upadesha Sahasri shloka. Shloka from Upadesha Sahasri. How the word aham is used to convey the Brahman by way of negation. First, the aham word is used as an impose the aham word. The referability through I thought is imposed. And second stage, even that is negated. And what remains after negation is Brahman. This is how the Upadesha Sahasri shloka of Bhagavan Shankaracharya refers to Brahman. See, idamamsho. No, let me explain the meaning of the Upadesha Sahasri shloka. It's very interesting how the prakriya works. In the aham thought, in the aham notion, two elements are mixed up here. One is the consciousness, another is objecthood. Consciousness is the subject, but at the same time there is a self-consciousness. An aham thought itself is a self-consciousness. Consciousness and also self-consciousness, they don't go together. You can't be conscious of yourself. Being conscious of yourself means objectifying yourself. That's what it means. Self-consciousness means what? Consciousness can't be objectified. But self-consciousness means objectifying yourself. Means you are entertaining a thought about yourself. You are thinking about yourself. Once you have a thought about yourself, that's what means object. You make yourself as an object of a thought. So, in self-consciousness, there is a I notion. Self-consciousness is self-notion, a notion of self. So, in this notion of self, self is one, but a notion of self is objectifying. Therefore, in aham thought, there is a consciousness and an element of objectification also. Objectified, there is a thought of object. Thought itself means object, because thought cannot think of itself. Atma cannot think of itself. In Atma's consciousness is wrong. Atma is synonymous to consciousness. Atma doesn't know itself. Atma cannot be conscious of itself because there is no subject-object duality in the Atma. Therefore, in the Atma, in the consciousness which is synonymous to Atma, there is no thought. If you have a thought, then that means an objectification. Therefore, the thought of Atma is aham buddhi. If you entertain a thought about Atma, that's what is Aham Buddhi. Therefore, he says, Aham Ityatra. In this self-consciousness, in this Aham thought, there is an element of objectification. Therefore, that is called knownness. Knownness amsha, gneyamsha is removed. Adamamsho ahamityatra. In that aham, idamamsha is removed. Tyajyo anatmeti panditai. Panditas or the pandita means here the vicharaka, Vedanta vicharakas. The people who are inquiring into the nature of Atma should reject the known element of Aham Buddhi. In Aham Buddhi, remove the known element, object of consciousness, or the known aspect of known aspect or known element you negate. Panditai, Aham Brahme, then remaining is, when the known element is removed, first you say you use the word Aham, then you remove the known element, then Aham word doesn't apply. The word Aham doesn't apply. The notion of I doesn't apply at all. Therefore, you take the Aham thought and there you remove the known aspect. That means the thought is removed. What remains is self-consciousness without being an object of I thought. Therefore, Aham Brahmeti Shishta, the Shishtaha Amshaha. After negating the I thought, that is, after negating the known element, what remains there is called Brahman. Aham Brahmeti Shishtomshaha. Then that is called as Brahman. Then where you say I am Brahman, then where does the I come from? I, you retain the previous I before you negate I. Bhuta Purva Gatya means previous I before you negate it. You use that I and equate it with Aham. I am Brahman. In this Aham is when there is an I thought, then equate it with Brahman. By negating I thought, equate with Brahman. Not by retaining I thought you equate with Brahman. Okay? By retaining I thought, you don't equate with Brahman. You use the I when there is I thought, and negating I thought, when you negate I thought, there is no I thought at all, there is only one Brahman. Then equate with Brahman. That means the previously there was I thought. The previous I thought is used. After negating it, it is made one with Brahman. Therefore, Bhuta Purva Gater Bhavet. This is how the Upadesha Sahasra says. Is a beautiful grantha. Shankaracharya's independent work, Upadesha Sahasra, is a beautiful. If you listen just to that one book is enough. Oh, you don't have to listen to so many Upanishads. One Upanishad makes everything clear. Okay, next, Sureshwaracharya's statement from Naishkarma Siddhi. It is also in the similar lines. We shall discuss this shloka again. I think time is up. We'll discuss in the next class. After this, Sakshi also one good point is there. I think there may be one class, one or one and a half classes. This topic will be over. Then the next also there is again Panchapadika Vivaranam. Vivaranam's argument, the Samanya Vishesha of the Atma he is using. That's also very interesting, very beautiful point. It is a good for Manana to clarify the point. We'll discuss later. Today is a Krishnashtami, I know. But anyway, today is a relatively silent here. There is disturbance was there in the beginning and it stopped. So therefore I thought on Krishnashtami day we should think of Vedanta. That is Bhagavan Krishna's Swarupam is inseparable from our nature. Therefore I thought today we must have a class. I know you people are busy, therefore I don't see anybody. No single person in the Facebook. But doesn't matter, it will remain in Facebook. You can watch it at your own time. So this YouTube anyway, I'm going to upload it. So those who watch YouTube anyway, they will watch it only after uploading. But this live, I have not seen any single person. But doesn't matter. I said whatever I have to say. You can listen it. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat.